Monday Live. I hope you guys are all doing well. Things are good over in my world. And before we get quantum, because today we are talking about glitches in the matrix, we're talking about quantum timeline convergence. It's pretty freaking crazy, so we're gonna get into it. And I guess my intention is that by the end of this video, you're gonna feel like anything is possible, and you're gonna start to experience even more glitches, but you're also gonna know what to do with those glitches. Because, yeah, things are getting weird here in this reality. But before we dive in, if you enjoy conspiracy theories, talking about agendas, reptilians, the royal family, um, quantum mechanics, aliens, spiritual ascension, and so much more, then subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, go on over to my website, elizabethapril.com, and check out the membership. That is where you get exclusive access to so much more content that I just don't feel comfortable with putting online on YouTube. Not to mention, it's totally ad free. So even if you wanted to sign up for free as a seeker on my website and check out all of my YouTube videos, totally ad free, you can do that as well. And then coming up on July 11th, we have our next Galactic Federation Summit. If you do love asking interdimensional beings questions and getting the inside scoop for what is going on at this time, check that out. On July 11th, we are talking about crop circles. We're talking about, what else are we talking about? CE5. If you've ever wanted to know if CE5 is actually good, then let's just go ahead and hear what the GFL has to say about it. We're also going to be talking about psychic attacks and so much more. So check it out on July 11th, and that would be season 2024, episode 7. Super fun stuff. Talking about 7, I was born 0708, so my birthday's coming up, turning 32. Can't believe it. Or I guess I can. I truly love aging, and I just feel like every year on this planet I'm learning and growing and expanding so much. So I'm definitely excited to celebrate that one. All right, so let's dive into time and space. So first of all, glitches have been weird. They've been super, super extra these days. And the biggest question in my mind is why? Why have things been so much more glitchy lately? And I'm going to go into some of my own experiences of glitches in the Matrix very recently, as of yesterday. But first, I want to talk about why things are getting glitchier. If you have your own glitchy stories, please comment them in either the live chat or the comments down below. I'd love to know your own glitchy stories. And many years ago, I really wanted to create a podcast that was just like glitches in the Matrix, because I find that stuff so fascinating, and I just didn't have the time and still don't have the time. So why is this happening? I truly believe that the solar flares we're getting hit with are increasing the vibration on planet Earth, and that vibrational increase is essentially raising our own vibration, and things turn from a third dimensional reality, which is more dense, into a non-linear reality, which is obviously less dense, right? The more dense we become, the more polarized we are, the more there are two halves of a whole. The higher the vibration we go into, the less dense we become and the more quantum we become. So instead of two possibilities and the past and the future, we've got all possibilities. And we're going to talk about those sort of possibilities today and how we can hop into and work with an infinite amount of different timelines and possibilities. So that's why it's happening. Now, not only are we getting hit with solar flares at this time, creating, helping us through the ascension, but I also believe that our solar system is moving. And as our solar system actually moves through space, through time, we are also getting hit with, some people call it a photon belt. I don't know. I see it visually as sort of these cosmic energetic waves that are hitting us at this time. And thank you so much, Sharma, for that super chat. Okay, so let's talk about weird time and space glitches. And as I go over these, I want you to think about your own life, okay? Because you may just realize now in this video, oh my goodness, that's a glitch in the matrix. Like that happened to me last week or whatever. All right. So time in general seems to be either speeding up or slowing down. And sometimes time will freeze altogether, right? Like just about a month ago, it was the morning, it was like 9:34. I remember tapping on my phone, looking at the time, 9:34. I continued on to my computer work. I was answering emails, I don't know, editing videos. I don't know what I was doing, but I was doing a lot of different things on the computer. I tap back into my phone. I swear, 45 minutes later, I did a bunch of stuff. Look back at the time, it's still 9:34 a.m. Just like mind blowing, right? And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Like, did I get sucked into a portal? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But that's a really good example of time either slowing down, speeding up, or freezing altogether. Just this past week, it was Friday, and I was convinced that it was Monday. I was thinking about this live video. I was thinking about all the things I wanted to do. Nat came into the house and said, oh, you better get your stuff ready for tomorrow, Monday. Like I've got to, we've got the work meeting. And she also thought it was Monday. And what was so fascinating is pretty much for every single day from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it felt like I was moving through this week. It was so bizarre. And when I tapped into it, it's a clear indication of some sort of timeline hop. So have you ever had a moment in your week, in your month, in your year where you are convinced that that day or the next day is not the day that it really is? Right? That's a good indication that you've actually just hopped into a different timeline. So in those moments of weird time glitches, I want you to take a look around in your life and ask yourself, has anything else changed in this reality? You never know what else you might spot, what else you might find. Okay, so now let's talk about space. And when I talk about space, I don't mean like space, above Earth. I'm talking about spatial. I'm talking about material. I'm talking about this physical reality, all right? Time and space, the material physical world. So, a lot of weird space glitches, right? This is where we get the Mandela effect. I've had many experiences where full-on trees and bushes appear out of nowhere or disappear. I swear there was never a lemon tree there before, and now poof, up into this reality, there's a lemon tree, fully growing lemons. Like it's just bizarre, right? Bizarre stuff. So things either appearing out of nowhere or disappearing out of nowhere are very, very common. Not just things like material things, but also I've mentioned this recently in an Instagram video, birds, insects have been disappearing in front of me. Just the other day, I think on the weekend, I went into our small little town and there was a person walking down the street in front of me. There was nothing around, it was just a sidewalk, right? And houses. So nowhere for this person to go, not even cars on the street. And, you kind of expect, right? You anticipate that this person is going to pass you. I look down, I look back up, the person's gone, like just totally disappeared, just out of, like, I'm looking around. That split second was so quick. There's no way. I mean, they would have had to run into the house, right? I would have seen that. I don't know. It was just so bizarre. And then you have to think, where do these people go? Where do these insects go? Where do these birds go if they're just disappearing? I believe that it's just a glitch in the matrix. That person, right, who appeared and then disappeared in front of me, I don't think that they're necessarily a time traveler, although I do believe in that. I believe that they're just shifting into a different reality. They're shifting into a different timeline. In their life, from their perception, now they're making dinner, and they were always making dinner in the reality that they were in. It's actually more so the objective observer that gets to see these things shifting in and out of different timelines, right? When you're in it, you typically don't notice the shift unless you're missing time or what have you, right? So things get weird, and they have been weird. Also, duplicating. over the past 3 months, so many things have duplicated in my life. Like it was just comical. In 1 week, I swear, every single Amazon order was duplicated. It wasn't that I ordered two of one thing. Trust me, I went back. It was two things arrived, and there was only ever one order for it. I've had car fobs duplicate, and those things are expensive. Just really weird random things. I've had text messages duplicate over and over again. And I'm like, well, I'm not sending two of the exact same text. Like, how is this happening? Very recently, in the past 2 weeks, I've had podcast episodes replaying an entire chunk of the podcast. So I'm talking about a solid three to 5 minutes of the exact same storyline. At first, I'm like, okay, bad editor. Like, this is a pretty big podcast. This is bad edit. And I just didn't think about it. When I moved to a different podcast altogether, and then a different episode, obviously, the same thing would happen on and on and on again. So I would replay the podcast, and that chunk of repeated it wasn't there. It just didn't exist. It was just there once. Blows my mind. What's happening? Things are getting weird. They're getting glitchy, right? Obviously, things like technology not working, or different technologies turning on or turning off, all can be considered glitches. Oh yeah, like so I drive into the big town, and when I do, I pass this building always. And the building was brand new, so you're kind of looking at it, observing it. And I passed it by, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice new building. And it was all done and complete and opened. And it was like that for, I would say, 3 months, right? All of a sudden, the black metal roof turns from black to white. It's a white metal roof, which is already so bizarre. And it just blew my mind. So I had to walk into this. It was like an insurance broker agency thing, right? Just kind of awkward, but I walk in there and I'm like, hey, this is going to sound random, but I just saw that you like built this building, it's brand new. Did you happen to have a black roof before? Like, when you built it 3 months ago? And the reception gave me such a weird look, like, no, no, this is the roof that we've always had. Why? She's literally like, why would we build a building and change the roof right after? And this is what I was thinking, but I had to get this Mandela effect validated. So anyway, I looked like the crazy person walking in, being like, did you have a black roof? And it was always white, apparently. All right, so just weird things. Also, right before we went back to Canada, I was putting dishes away from the dishwasher. I put a knife, okay, on the counter. And then I put that knife away, right? I put it in the drawer, put it where it needs to go. I was putting a couple other things away. I turn back around. The very same knife is back on the counter. Bizarre things, right? I'm like looking like someone's pulling a prank, right? No, I opened the drawer. The knife that I just put in the drawer that was sitting on the counter was no longer there. Things are weird. Weird. Really weird. All right. What else? What else? Oh yeah, okay. Now this is a really bizarre thing, and this also happened probably in the past month or two. I started smelling things before they happened. I know it sounds weird, whatever. I didn't even think this was possible until it started happening. But there was a solid week where, whether it be, I don't know what the smells were. Like I think cooking and candles and sage were all the smells that I was smelling. I would smell sage. Oh, I wonder if Nat's, burning some sage. And then I look and she's not burning any sage. So then I burn sage. And then I get into this weird loop thinking, did I smell sage that I was about to burn? And then did I start burning the sage because I smelt it? So did I create that future timeline, or did the future timeline create itself? I don't know. It's like trippy to think about, right? Okay, cool. So, like I mentioned, why are these glitches happening? Solar flares are a big part of it, and these like cosmic energy waves that we're getting hit with. It's the ascension, right? Things are going to happen this way. Things are going to be glitchy. They're going to be weird. So I want to introduce you to probably the craziest. I mean, like, my world's pretty wild, but probably one of the trippiest downloads I've had ever. And that's like a pretty big statement to make, because you know what I talk about, right? Some weird stuff. So this download happened in 2019. I remember exactly where I was. It was that profound. Like, it was just like, wow. I went back home for Christmas and I was hanging out with my brother in the backyard, and we just got into this crazy conversation about like timelines and quantum mechanics and like what's possible. And I had this breakthrough. And I'm going to try and explain it to you the best that I can, but pre warning, this is like very, very high level quantum mechanics. The reason why I want to talk to you about it today is because the ascension is happening, glitches are weird, they're increasing. We're going from a linear reality, a third dimensional reality, to a very non-linear reality, and we need to understand what is possible in this non-linear reality. I do have a workshop. It's called The Quantum Human. If you're interested in this stuff and you want to know all of the different quantum theories that I have, go check that out. And right now we've got a sale on, so please go check that out. It's super cheap. I think it's like 14 bucks. You really can't go wrong, and you can replay it over and over again to really let it sink in. And that's like extra content on top of this. So I downloaded this thing, and I even have a name for it. All right. If you hear anyone else talking about this, I don't know. Like, this was a download, so I really feel like, I mean, obviously it's not mine. I can't own it, right? It's like the universe, but I don't know. I haven't heard it ever before, and I've talked to a couple of quantum physicists about this theory, and they agree with me, but they've also never heard of it before either. So it's called Quantum Convergence Theory, or QCT, which is once again just the title that came downloaded to me back in 2019. So here's what the theory is. It's really wild. I'm going to read what I wrote here just to keep it on track. So my hypothesis for the theory is that it is possible to merge multiple timelines into the current physical reality. How do we do this? How? How do we do this? Through objective observation. All right, so I'm going to give you an example of quantum convergence, all right? And I truly believe it's possible, and I really believe that it doesn't require a lot of work, because as we can see in these weird glitches, it's actually already happening without us having to do anything. But I want to talk about how to navigate that space. Here's what I believe based on this download, based on this theory that came through. It is possible to be in one place, which means to exist in one localized space, and to converge or to bring through multiple different timelines or realities. And I'm going to give you an example so you fully understand the extent of what I'm talking about here. What you would do is you would take a timer and you would put on that timer 20 minutes, okay? A 20-minute timer. So we are working within the confines of space and time, just in a very particular way. So you set a timer for 20 minutes, and during that time, you aren't doing anything. All you're doing is you're sitting, you're closing your eyes, and you're not observing the space around you. Then internally, what you're doing is you're setting an intention for what you want to converge, what timelines you want to converge. So essentially what you do is you give equal amounts of observation for each of the timelines. And when I talk about timelines, it's really simple stuff. So for example, in 20 minutes, I want to converge 3 timelines. One timeline is where I water the flowers for 20 minutes. Another timeline is where I answer emails for 20 minutes. And another timeline is where I bake muffins for 20 minutes. And so all I'm doing, I'm not physically doing anything, I'm sitting in one spot and I'm observing those different timelines. I'm really focused on the end goal, right? With the outcome, the emails are answered, the flowers are watered, the muffins are in the oven, or what have you. And then after 20 minutes, the alarm goes off, I open my eyes, and I actually shift into a reality where all 3 of those things were able to simultaneously be completed in that moment. Right? And you got to factor in a lot of stuff. So the initial sort of findings and report that I wrote down was like, I don't know, 45 pages of thinking about all of the different variables that could come into place. And one of the biggest variables when we're hopping and shifting into a different timeline is other individuals, other consciousness, right, observing your timeline. So, in order to hop and shift into a different alternate timeline, we kind of need to be solo, right? If we have someone else in the room observing us, observing that reality, we're co creating that reality with them. And so that, it gets into many different things. So, for example, if I wanted to close my eyes and say, all right, when I open my eyes, I'm going to be in Hawaii, right? There's other things to think about as well. So, when we're thinking about doing such a huge timeline hop, what discerns a huge timeline hop? The choices that are made. So, for example, when I'm watering the flowers within that 20 minutes, what are the choices that I have to make? I have to find the hose or the watering can. I have to fill that watering can up. I have to walk over to the flowers, and then I need to pour the water out, right? What is required of me to sit and answer emails? I got to open up my email. I got to go through them. I got to read things, right? There are different choices that need to be made. So for me to go from here right now to Hawaii, for example, I would have to make a lot of choices. I would have to spend a lot of time moving through those different choices. So it's a much bigger jump. And this is why we get very interesting, weird glitches and jumps like the color of a car or the color of a roof will change because it was just one choice to make that timeline difference. Does that make sense? So, for example, in the morning, if I chose coffee to drink over tea or orange juice or I don't know, matcha or water, all I had to do was just really make one choice. Now, however, if you do tea, it's like you have to boil the water and then make the tea, right? Or coffee, boil the water, make the tea, do whatever you need to do. And there's a couple of different choices there, but really the choice is what am I going to drink today? Or what am I going to drink in this moment? And each choice we make opens up a different parallel timeline. So how do you create extra glitches in your reality? I'm going to tell you. It's actually really simple. And hey, do you want extra glitches in your reality? Sometimes this reality is more than enough and we don't really need to switch it up. We don't really need extra glitches. But if you do want things to get extra weird, I'm going to tell you how to do it. Here it is. Make different choices. The more choices we make that go off of our typical usual trajectory, the more weird and glitchy life gets. So for example, if I wake up and 9 times out of 10 I do drink coffee, then switch it up. Drink something that you would never do, right? Do something random that you wouldn't do. Like back in the day when I was really into quantum mechanics and like destiny versus free will, and like I was seeing all these different timelines and I felt like, my destiny was laid out and that kind of pissed me off. So I wanted to switch up my destiny. I would take random things. This is going to sound crazy, but I would take random things on my desk and I would chuck them across the room. I'd throw a blue pen across the room and I'd be like, ha, see destiny? Like you didn't expect that. You didn't see that coming. And then I would think to myself, but what if I was predestined to pick up that blue pen? So then I would pick up the purple pen and chuck it across the room and say, ha, you didn't see that one coming. And so on and so forth. And, I do believe that both free will and destiny are at play pretty much equal. And so there's really no spiting your destiny because you create your destiny. And I realize that now. But switch it up. Make different choices. If you're driving the same way to work because it's the most efficient and effective way to get to work, don't do that. Leave an extra 15 minutes early and just take a different route. Go a different way. And what you're going to find is you get out of the groove of life and you start to open up an infinite amount of different possibilities. Only if you want things to get weirder. I know I do. I love the weirdness. Another thing that I do just personally that really helps me is I have started a glitch document/notes in my phone. So it's super easy. A lot of the time you forget all of the weird things that happen, or you're like, ooh, that was weird. And then you just sort of move on with life. But by writing it down, like I've even started taking pictures of things that I can take pictures for. And it's like such a weird caption too. Like, take a picture of a tree. This wasn't here yesterday. Like a full grown mature tree, like this definitely wasn't there. And you sound like a crazy person, but to you, you know what the original reality was, and you know that something has shifted. When you notice a glitch in your matrix, take a look around and see if there's anything else that's different. All right, right now what's happening is, and I want to mention one more thing and then we're going to close up. This is a really, really good point. When we live in reality, when we're existing right now, when you're here right now watching this video, right? It's a seamless stream of exposure to reality. So much so that you think that this is just one reality. But the best way that I can describe it is looking at the light in your ceiling, right? When you take a look at the light in your ceiling that's on, or the light in the corner of the room that's on, you're seeing one constant light that's shining brightly. But of course, when you get your electricity bill at the end of the month, you realize that it actually wasn't just one bolt of electricity that was lighting that light bulb. It's all of these little tiny flashes of electricity that are happening so quickly that we perceive it as just the light is on. And it's not. Every single light in our reality is actually just flickering. That's how electricity works. That is exactly how this reality works. It's actually just all of these infinite, tiny, little microscopic flickers that are happening so rapidly that we perceive all of this as the same timeline, as the same reality. And it's not. It's an infinite number of tiny little pathways that we're choosing with every single thought, every single action, and every single word that we speak. So switch it up, right? Understand that there are an infinite number of possibilities in between every single little timeline that we're skipping in and out of. So take life by the reins, hop into the driver's seat of your life, and start switching it up, making choices that are unexpected. What that does is it frees you from the monotony of the choices that you've already made because they're safe and comfortable, and it steps you into this realm, this world of infinite possibilities, and eventually you become such a quantum master that you are able to converge multiple different timelines just simply by objectively observing them, bringing them all together, and then you don't ever have to lift a finger. And there you go. That is your download for the week. Once again, if you want to watch this and all of my videos ad-free, especially videos about Kate Middleton, things that I just can't talk about publicly, please head on over to my website, elizabethable.com. We got a great sale on right now. Biggest sale of the year actually right now. So check it out, and as always, subscribe. I love you guys so, so much. Keep up the good work. You truly are quantum masters, and we deserve to live our best lives, and quantum mechanics is a really big part of it. Until next time, I'll see all of you in the highest potential timeline. Bye for now.